So, why is it that they always seem to have older actors and actresses playing the role of younger characters? So, for example, we have Tobey Maguire from the old Spider Man movies who was playing a high school student when he was like 30. And of course, we also have Betty White and E. Arthur who were playing 55-year-olds in the Golden Girls while they were actually 63. And of course, we have Christopher Plummer in Knives Out, who was playing the character whose character was 85 years old, but in reality, he was more like 90. And we have Tom Welling, who was playing a high school student in Smallville, while Tom Welling was really in his late 20s. And of course, on Riverdale, we have KJ Apa, Camila Mendez, and Cole Sprouse, and Madeleine, and Vanessa Morgan, and many others who are in their 20s, some of them in their late 20s, some of them in their early 20s, and they're playing high school students. And in Maud, we have B. Arthur, who is playing a 47-year-old when she was actually 50. So the question is, why do they have older actors playing younger characters? It's just always a question that I've wondered about, and I'm just wondering, like, why? What's the deal? So I suppose in something like Riverdale or Smallville, they do that because maybe older actors are more experienced and they are able to play the characters more efficiently. Whereas that might not be the case with actual high school age actors. But then, of course, we have to think about, well, then how come they do that for even older characters? So, like, how come B. Arthur and Betty White are supposed to be 55-year-olds in the Golden Girls? Like, even though they were actually 63 at the beginning. So, why did they do that? And why did they make a Christopher Plummer 85 and not 90 in Knives Out? Like, what's the deal there? So I think in those situations, I'm actually not entirely sure. I think for Knives Out, they just settled on a number 85 because, like, why not? And for the Golden Girls, I think it was probably a similar situation, except I don't get that decision because the point of the Golden Girls is that it's about older women who are living together. So if you just had them be 63, like the age that they actually were when they started, 62 in the case of Estelle Getty, and 50, so 12, and about like 51 for Rue McClanahan. Like, if you just had them be the ages that they actually were, that would actually fit into the plot better, wouldn't it? And of course, the other thing is they in the Golden Girls. I did another video on this where I discussed the discrepancies with the timeline and plot and everything. In the Golden Girls, they do mess up the ages and timelines a lot, so I guess that factors in. Now, of course, in Smallville, the actors clearly look a lot older than high school students because they are older, and same goes for Riverdale as well as the Golden Girls and Maud because Maud is clearly not 47. The actress B. Arthur, as I said, was 50 at the time when it started. So first of all, it doesn't look very convincing, and secondly, of course, there are exceptions to that rule. So, for instance, Tom Holland, even though he's 24, he looked very young, and uh, Spider-Man, Spider-Man came out last year, right? Yeah, so he would have been 23, and he was still very like he could pull it off. Like, he does look 24, but at the same time, he does look like he could pass for younger. So, in his special case, and Tom Holland's a great actor too, of course, and like all of them are. Betty White, B. Arthur, Tom Welling, KJ, Camilla, Cole Sprouse, Christopher Plummer. they're all pretty excellent. But the point is, in Tom Holland's special case, he could pass for younger, even though he does look his age. Like he's so in that special situation, Tom Holland and Zendaya and I believe Christopher, they can all they can all pull it off. But normally, when the characters clearly look a lot older than they are supposed to be, it just throws something off, and I just think it adds an unnecessary hitch in the plot. Hold on, I'm going to charge my computer really quick. Yes, but as I was saying, I think in the case of the Golden Girls, as I said, they could have just made them be the age that they actually were. And I think in the case of Riverdale, and I think they're going to do this in season 5 because they have the time jump. In the case of something like Riverdale, they could have just had it take place in college, or maybe had them just be young adults from the beginning rather than just starting them off in high school, because I think that would also make it a lot more interesting. And plus, the topics of the show are based in some adult categories. So I think that might have added more to the show if they had done that. And of course, for Smallville, I would say the exact same thing. They could have just started it off as young adults. And I'm repeating myself again, but in the Golden Girls, they could have just had them be the 63-year-olds that they were, because that would really emphasize the point of the plot. And for Knives Out, I don't know if there was a significant reason they did the number like that, but they could have just used his real age. And for Spider-Man, the original Spider-Man with Tobey Maguire, I would say the same thing. They could have just used his real age, and that would have been a more interesting plot, I think. And like I said, for the MCU Spider-Man, it turned out well because Tom Holland can easily pull off the look. Now, I'm trying to think if there's anything I'm missing. But the other point I wanted to get to is that for House MD, they don't mention the age a lot, but ages a lot. But I think there were some discrepancies about Dr. Chase's age, which I guess changed a little bit throughout the series. I don't recall exactly, but I think within the context of the show, Dr. Chase is actually the same age as Jesse Spencer, and um, Dr. House is actually the same age as Hugh Laurie, and Dr. Cameron is the same age as Jennifer Morrison, and I believe Dr. Adams is also the same age as Odette Annable, and so on and so forth. So I think in the context of House, they did a pretty decent job by not going the weird age route. At the same time, for Rachel Cuddy's character, she was supposed to be like 2 to 3 years old, but then they had like a much older actress playing it, like 5 years old or something, and they were twins too. But yeah, but in that case, I do understand because like obviously like it's harder to get a 2-year-old to act than it is a 5-year-old, and the actresses did a great job, and also there are actually tall 2-year olds out there who are good at talking and are very smart. So that works. So something like that, fine, like of course, but having 30-year-olds be in high school, or 63-year-olds be 55, or 90-year-olds be 85, I just don't get that. Continuing on, I do like when they just leave the ages ambiguous, because I think it adds more to the story if it's just not really specified. It's a weird feeling, but it is true. And also, what else I like is, and if you give a specific age, but then you give a specific age later, it can be a discrepancy, and you can mess up with the math, and it sort of detracts from the plot when there's just an unnecessary plot error. You don't want a mathematical plot error because it could have been avoided, and it just really wasn't necessary to begin with. So that is quite the thing I have to say. Now, I'm sure there are many, many, many examples that I missed here, and I would love to talk about them all, but can't recall all of them, and I'm sure there's just too many examples out there to get to all of them. So, with that being said, the final reminder is to subscribe to this channel, share all the videos, and watch all the videos that interest you, because there are many videos for you to watch, and I'm sure you will find something that you like. Yeah, so I have videos on a variety of topics, very, very interesting commentary for each one, so go ahead and watch as many of them as possible. And you'll have a lot of fun, I can guarantee you of that.